The woman's hands move without thinking. Sago flour, still damp from yesterday's processing, gets pressed into palm leaves, tight, deliberate folds. Behind her, smoke from the morning fire curls through the rafters of the uma, settling on everything. Nothing rots here. Nothing spoils. The meat hanging above us has been there for 3 weeks. I'm in the interior of Sakuddei Island, about 130 kilometers off the coast of Sumatra. This is Sakuddei territory, deep rainforest, constant rain, and no electricity for hundreds of miles. The people here have figured out something most of us forgot: how to keep food edible for months without a single refrigerator, freezer, or chemical preservative. Before we go further, I want to tell you what we're really looking at here. The Sakuddei are one of several Mentawai subgroups living on Sibrit. They inhabit south-central Sibrit in what's been described as an egalitarian society, with no formal leadership structure and gender equality woven into daily life. Their primary staples? Sago palm starch, taro, bananas. Protein comes from hunting, monkeys, wild pigs, deer, and occasional fishing. But here's the thing that struck me first: everything perishable somehow doesn't perish. At least not at the speed you'd expect in a tropical climate where humidity hovers near 90% and temperatures rarely drop below 75 degrees. What I'm about to show you isn't just survival knowledge. It's a living archive of techniques most cultures abandoned generations ago. The Sakuddei don't freeze, can, or vacuum seal. They work with what the forest gives them: smoke, leaves, salt from traders, the heat of the sun filtered through tree cover. And they've been doing this for, well, longer than anyone can trace. You'll see sago that stays good for 8 to 10 weeks. Smoked monkey meat hanging for a month. Taro that sits in wet garden soil but never rots. I kept asking, how? And the answers weren't what I expected. Let me start with sago. If you've never worked with it, sago is this starchy pulp extracted from the center of sago palms. It's wet when it comes out, sticky, almost clay-like. In this climate, wet starch should go bad in days. Mold, bacteria, fermentation, pick your poison. But the Sakuddei keep sago for 2 months, sometimes longer. I watched a man named Aman Bai prepare a batch. He'd spent the morning pounding sago pith, washing it through woven screens, collecting the milky water in a hollowed log. By afternoon, the water had settled, leaving a thick white paste at the bottom. That's the sago flour. Now here's where it gets interesting. Instead of storing it loose or in a basket, he scooped it into sections of palm leaves, each one maybe the size of your forearm. Then he folded them. Not casually. Tight, overlapping folds, like origami, until no air could get in. He pressed the edges together, sometimes tying them with strips of rattan. Why the leaves? I asked through a translator. He didn't really answer directly. Just said the leaves keep it cool. Keep it from drying out too fast. But I think there's more happening. Palm leaves aren't inert. They contain oils, natural compounds that likely have antimicrobial properties. Wrapping wet sago in them creates this microenvironment, dark, slightly acidic maybe, sealed from outside contaminants. And it works. I saw bundles of sago that had been wrapped 3 weeks earlier. When Aman Bai opened one, the flour inside was still white, still damp, no off smell. You could cook with it immediately. But sago is just starch. What about protein? How do you keep meat from rotting when there's no ice, no refrigeration, and flies everywhere? The answer is above your head. Literally. Every uma, these traditional longhouses where extended families live, has a fire pit at ground level. It burns almost constantly. Cooking, warmth, keeping insects away. And all that smoke? It rises. Gets trapped under the roof. Settles on everything up there. When hunters bring back meat, wild pig, monkey, sometimes deer, they don't eat it all at once. Can't. A single pig might feed a family for weeks. So they cut it into strips, not too thin, and hang it from the rafters. Right in the smoke. I climbed up into the rafters of one uma with a man named Tedorayat. It's darker up there, hotter, and the smell is intense. Wood smoke, old meat, something almost sweet. He pointed to a section of monkey meat that had been hanging for nearly a month. It was black on the outside, hard as leather. Still good? I asked. He pulled a piece down, cut into it with a machete. The inside was dark red, dried but not rotten. He handed me a sliver. I'll be honest, I hesitated. But I tried it. Salty, smoky, chewy. No spoilage taste. No decay. Here's what I learned: smoke does several things at once. First, it dehydrates the meat. Bacteria need moisture to grow, and smoke pulls water out. Second, the chemicals in smoke, compounds from burning hardwood, are antimicrobial. They coat the surface of the meat, creating a barrier. Third, the heat from the fire, even indirect heat, keeps the temperature just high enough to discourage microbial growth without cooking the meat. It's not refrigeration. It's controlled decay. Or rather, preventing decay by creating an environment where nothing can take hold. And there's another layer. The Sakuddei don't use just any wood. They prefer certain hardwoods from the forest, trees they know burn slow, produce thick smoke, give the right flavor. This isn't random. It's knowledge passed down, tested, refined over generations. Now let's talk about salt. The Sakuddei live inland. No ocean access. No natural salt deposits that I could find. But salt is crucial for preservation, especially for fish and certain meats. So where does it come from? Traders. Occasionally, coastal traders make their way upriver, bringing salt, metal tools, cloth. The Sakuddei trade forest products, rattan, wild honey, sometimes carved wood, for these essentials. Salt is valuable. They don't waste it. When they do get salt, it's used strategically. I watched a woman preparing fish, small river fish, caught that morning. She gutted them, split them open, then rubbed coarse salt into the flesh. Not a lot. Just enough to draw out moisture, create an inhospitable environment for bacteria. Then she laid them on a bamboo rack in partial sunlight. Not full sun, that would cook them too fast, attract too many flies. Partial shade, where air circulates but the heat isn't overwhelming. By the next day, the fish were firm, dry on the outside, ready to be smoked or eaten. The salt had done its job, pulled water out, preserved the tissue. Combined with a bit of smoking, those fish could last a week, maybe two. But here's the thing I found fascinating: they don't oversalt. In many cultures, traditional preservation involves drowning food in salt. The Sakuddei use just enough. Maybe because salt is scarce. Maybe because they know oversalting changes the texture, makes the food less palatable. Either way, it's this balance, enough to preserve, not so much that it dominates. So we've covered sago, meat, fish. But what about vegetables? Taro, for instance. How do you keep root vegetables fresh in a place where everything wants to rot? This is where things get clever in a different way. The Sakuddei don't really store taro in the way we think of storage. They grow it in small forest gardens, shaded clearings near the uma where they plant taro, bananas, sometimes sweet potato. And here's the key: they leave it in the ground. Taro stays fresh as long as it's alive. Pull it up too early, and you've got maybe a week before it starts to soften, sprout, or rot. But leave it in the soil? It can sit there for months, ready whenever you need it. I followed a woman named Ina Jirai into her garden one morning. The ground was soft, muddy from recent rain. She walked between taro plants, checking leaves, and when she found the one she wanted, she used a digging stick to loosen the soil around the corm. pulled it up, rinsed it in a nearby stream. That's lunch. It's harvesting on demand. No need to preserve because you're not storing surplus. You're managing a living larder. Of course, this only works if you have enough land, if you're not dealing with pests that destroy crops, if the growing season is year-round. And in Sybrit, with its tropical climate, taro grows continuously. The forest provides. But there's a backup. When they do harvest more than they need, say, for a ceremony or communal meal, they boil the taro first. Cooked taro lasts a bit longer than raw. A day or two. Not much, but enough. And if they want to keep it even longer? They mash it, mix it with a bit of sago, wrap it in leaves, and steam it into dense cakes. These can last a week, sometimes more, especially if kept cool and dry.